You ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Rock and roll?
Sure, why not?
Rock out with your cock out?
No.
Not that kind of show?
No.
All right. Welcome to the Desert Lair, episode 1, if I manage to hit record on everything, I think. I'm Dustin. I'm a functional misanthrope. Dillon's here. He's a mostly functional nerd. I think that's fair. A little bit of neckbeardishness, not a whole lot, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
accurate.
We're going to do a show about entertainment media, so video games, TV, movies, animation, etc. At a point in my life where I need a structured environment to interact with another human. Pretty busy with work. I'm out of town quite often, suitcases and stuff all the time. Got other stuff going on, and plus I'm solitary and reclusive. Dillon, I think, is kind of headed down that road himself, so I'm going to drag him along, even though he doesn't seem to want to, but whatever. We'll get there. I have a feeling maybe one person will watch this, and if they do, they're probably just going to complain about all the production value. Like, why is it so oppressively dark in here?
That's the vibe you went for in your bar, I guess.
You know there's an ISO setting on the camera, right? Turn on a light. They're just going to be screaming at us. Why is the camera so far away? All questions. It looks like the bar was installed inside of an orange. Can you do color grading? The FPS is set super low. People are going to yell at us. They're going to yell at me. So I think we have overlapping taste in media. The problem is we're never watching or playing the same thing at the same time, or very rarely. On the rare occasions where we do interact, I have to listen to your stories about the military 10 times. You have to listen to my work stories 10 times, and I think that's getting old. So the point of this is that if we have a structured thing to do where we've picked a topic to talk about, it will make me commit, and we'll have something to actually talk about on the rare occasions where we happen to interact. And we can make it more frequent or more regular. Sounds like a bowel movement. What else I got here on the notes? Format. I think we'll probably start out looking at news for the week, some kind of entertainment news. So either video games, TV news, movie news, whatever. We'll look at it. Whatever catches our interest and talk about that.
Okay.
After that, we'll move on to the topic that we've decided to discuss. This week, or for the first one, it's Cyberpunk 2077. We've both recently played that. Also, as I'm sure everyone noticed, we're in a bar. So after we discuss our nerd stuff, I'll probably talk about booze.
I hardly know anything about booze whatsoever.
You probably don't care. I guess you don't have to hang around for that. I can do that by myself. I've come to terms with who I am, my misanthropy, and I think you're come to terms with who you are, your deviant sexuality.
Oh, thank you. I just broadcast it to everyone. Thank you.
Well, got to get it out there, right? You ready?
Yeah.
News-wise, I was looking at IGN. The first thing is the most anticipated games of 2025. So the first one I noticed was Date Everything. Did you see that one?
I did. The moment I saw it, I skipped over it because it looked ridiculous, but sure.
I mean, I guess I don't understand. Like, why are we dating inanimate objects exactly? Like, I don't get the point of this.
I mean, being a nerd and being a loner, you kind of don't introduce to people, so I guess a lot of people like it to simulate having a real relationship.
I get the dating sim part. I understand that. Where does the inanimate object part come from?
Oh,
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. That's my point. I remember they had a show about people who were dating inanimate objects. So it is actually a thing. There was one guy who was dating a carnival ride or something. He's like, I don't even know how this is possible. Or a guy who's dating his car or whatever. Are they trying to play on that, or is it just some kind of weird Japanese thing where you can date your cupboard and your counters and you can date all the objects in your house?
I really don't understand.
All right, well,
to each their own, I guess.
We're on the same page about that one. The other one I saw was Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah. I was eventually going to play the first one, but I haven't yet.
I've played the first one. It's good. Fallout Worlds, right? That's what we should call it anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
I liked that quite a bit. There were a little, there were some gameplay things that I didn't think were quite as good as the other Bethesda games, but overall I think it was really good. And then plus the expansion story was really good in that. Maybe once you play that, we can talk about that on a future show at some point in time if we get past episode 1.
Yeah.
But the Outer Worlds 2 looks pretty good. If you liked the first one, I think like the second one. We both like those kinds of games. The other one was Wolf Among Us 2.
I looked at that. I'm not really interested, honestly.
So I like the Telltale games quite a bit in theory.
When you literally have to cheat in order to play the entire game, I don't feel like you're kind of missing the point of the game, but sure.
Here's this game, and it has an awesome story. It's super cool. Your decisions don't really matter because you're an asshole no matter what, is kind of how those games are designed, which is fine. They're really neat. But they've designed it in such a way that you have 5 options and you have like a tenth of a second to pick an option, or it picks it for you. So you're like, what this bullshit, man?
They're trying to simulate a real conversation with the person. If you sit there and hang them for like 10 seconds, they're going to look at you like you're a creep. But I mean...
Yeah. If I ask you a question and you don't answer in like 3 seconds and I'm like, you're a piece of crap, dirtbag. I can't believe you. You're like just standing there staring at me like, what? Like, I mean, that's how I felt on those games. So I tried to get a trainer to freeze the thing so I could actually read all of the options that I have. Like no one thought like, this is a game. I get you're trying to simulate a real conversation, but I need to understand what's going on, like what options I'm saying. Like otherwise I'm just speaking gibberish. It's like I had a fugue state. I don't know what I said. I just said things because things are what were in front of me.
Yeah, they need to make it more like, example is like The Witcher. Some of the options are timed, but at least it gives you like 10 to 15 seconds to pick the one that you want and read all of the choices.
I prefer the Mass Effect style where it just leaves you hanging like indefinitely. Like you just see 2 guys kind of bouncing back and forth and you're like, what exactly is going on here? It looks weird, but in the context of playing a game, I think it makes a lot more sense. Just give me that, not this nonsense. We'll see. I hope it's good. The next one on the list, you probably had this on your list as well, Vampire the Masquerade 2.
Yes, as the first one was my favorite games of all time. I played it several times, pretty much did every race, but yeah, to see it just take forever, be delayed repeatedly, and they literally had to change the studio because they didn't like the other one where it was going. Is this going to be just a chopped up like, oh, we had to get this out just because we said we would and contract obligated rather than we really want to make a good game here? It just feels like mediocre, here we go. That's it.
That's your fear, obviously, right? You're going to be devastated that...
Even just the basic introduction to the story is, could they come up with something better?
Did you watch the trailer or no?
Yeah, I watched like the most recent one about the gameplay and stuff. I mean, it looks okay, but I'm kind of like the older one where it focuses more on like the weapons and then the abilities augment that rather than focus on the abilities and then the weapons. I don't think I even saw them use a weapon.
Yeah, and I don't know how long the gameplay trailer was. The original was kind of neat. I mean, you're a vampire and you're supposed to have vampire powers, but they did give you, hey, guns are a real thing and you can use these too.
Yeah, they made a big point about that, like in the story. If you take a shotgun blast to the head, even if it's a vampire, it's going to hurt a lot.
You're going to get wrecked. One of the things I do think is interesting, like I like all these old games. You like all these old games. But I looked at the graphics. I just took a look at the old Vampire the Masquerade. And I like it. I like the way it looks, but I have a feeling it's pretty dated.
I mean, it is. It just, most people who aren't born in the early 2000s or before that, it's just me like, why doesn't the graphics look good? It's the first presentation of a game. That's what they want to look good. But they also want the gameplay to be good, and I feel like that's kind of taken a back seat a lot of times for a lot of games lately, and it's annoying. at least the game's going to be, mediocre rather than terrible like Dragon Age was.
I mean, in fairness, you haven't played Dragon Age.
I've read several reviews, looked at everyone talking about it, looked at Steam, and it's just everything says this game is terrible in every way.
I'll definitely play it. I'll play all those games. I just have a hard time grasping that it could be that bad. Maybe it's not great, but
I guess more of the what we expect from the previous games to the new game. 'Cause, I mean, you look at the game by itself with no like previous games, like established lore. I guess it would be different looking at it if that was your first part of the series or whatever. But it's not. I mean, there's a lot of previous games that have a lot of this is what we expect in the future between the newer game. There's a lot of previous things that go on that you want it to be something similar.
yeah. So you're saying expectations from the older games
Yeah.
are what makes it bad, or what makes it bad by comparison because you have a comparison to make.
Yes.
That's fair. There are a few things more movie-wise I understand that with, so we'll leave it at that. I did watch the newest trailer, or I think a trailer of that, and the only thing that I got from it mainly is, why does it look like the FPS is so shitty and stuttering? I'm like, if this is a demo, shouldn't it be on like a $5,000 workstation? Like, why does it look like it's choppy already?
Yeah, I have a feeling that's why they delayed it and even got a different team to like finish the game. With how many like crappy games have been lately of like, let's just release this half finished. It will do well enough to make back our investment. If they had to delay it more than once, it must be absolutely awful in the technical spirit for them to delay it. Yeah, no one wants to play a choppy mess when it's supposed to be a AAA title or at least AA title.
That part had me slightly concerned because I'm like, shouldn't the gameplay video look pretty smooth and stuff? It looks kind of choppy.
But the opposite of that is something like Cyberpunk. The very first gameplay they revealed was absolutely amazing. And then doing that mission for real in the game, it was just, it looks nothing and handles nothing like this. You end up feeling worse about it, of like them hyping it up rather than giving you exactly what you're going to get.
So at least what you're saying is you expect the new Vampire the Masquerade to be a mediocre, potentially choppy mess that will just break your soul.
Yes. Yes. I mean, not make me, metaphorically cry about how bad Dragon Age the Veilguard was, but yeah.
What else we have on this list here? I guess not upcoming, but I did see there's a new Stalker out. Did you play the original Stalker?
I wouldn't say the original. I think the second one, Shadow of Chernobyl or something. I played one of them.
Are those kind of almost like the original survival crafting type thing? Because that game came out a long time ago and it has a lot of those elements.
Have you played Metro before?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, you think of Metro when you think of those games. It's pretty much kind of a sandbox open world with guns and some couple extra features, but it's more of ammo conservation and using a minimum amount of resources to do the most amount of things in order to do missions and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Metro games are pretty similar to that, but I feel like the Stalker is less polished and more open worldy, I guess.
Yeah, eventually I might play that, but I also feel like I'm obligated to play the older games, and it's just like I want to play like 4 games in a row just to get to the better one.
I think there's only 2 of them and maybe expansion packs or whatever. But
okay.
Yeah, so I don't think there's that many. And I don't think the new Stalker looks like, at least the impression I got is that it doesn't look like that much better than the old one. So there's not huge shock in the gameplay and the graphics and trying to go back and play some old hunky piece of crap. I think I liked the second one, so I found that interesting. The next thing I looked at is movies. So I see that they have a Minecraft.
The trailers for that looked atrocious.
I agree with you. Here's what I have on my notes. Just money signs.
Yes.
It's all just money signs. This movie, I feel like, is going to make an incredible amount of money. It's one of those movies like you're going to take your kids to see, I guess.
Minecraft with the younger generation is very, very big. So, I mean, yeah, I suppose so.
How long has Minecraft been out for?
A very long time.
It's quite a few years. So I feel like there's, even older, maybe people who have kids.
Yes, there are people who are older that like it.
I feel like I agree with you. It looks awful. I think it's going to make a ton of money, but we'll see. The next one on there, 28 years later. Did you like those movies?
I saw the first one. I mean, it was decent.
What's your feeling on zombie movies in general?
There's a certain level of like, okay, this is more about, do you do the dead serious route or do you do the kind of the funny route or whatever? They're all okay. I mean, it's not like, oh, I go there to see the Oscar-winning movie, but
Yeah. Well, the 28 days and the weeks, they had the fast-moving zombies. That was one of the first. These zombies are actually kind of deadly.
yeah.
I'll definitely watch that movie. Hopefully, I'll get around to more movies this year. We'll see. The next one, Jurassic World 25. I know, does anyone care about these movies anymore? Who watches these things at this point?
I did the mistake of watching the one with, what's his name? Chris, one of the 7 Chris's in Hollywood.
Is it Chris Pine?
I think that's the Star Trek
Oh
guy.
yeah, that's Star Trek. Chris.
I don't remember his name.
We should probably look it up on Google, but I know him as the Parks and Recs Chris.
Oh, yeah. I watched one of those, and it was him raising, like, velociraptors as, like...
It's just been
like
completely
dogs.
ridiculous.
Yeah, this is like an apex predator level. Like, they wouldn't, act like you're, like, part of their group or whatever to where
Yeah.
they're not going to kill you. It's like...
We've bred this special, he's my puppy dog.
Yeah, it's just like, what? That movie was ridiculous.
This is Hollywood trying to milk it for like every last drop of everything that it's worth. But apparently they still make money because otherwise they wouldn't continue to make them.
The other point being is that's not actually what the real velociraptors look like. There's actually historical evidence that they're way smaller.
They're allowed to take creative license.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. That part, here's the thing. I don't really give a crap what you do with the dinosaurs, but if you're telling a ridiculous story, then who cares at that point? They're veering into like so bad it's good movie territory at this point, except they're just mediocre, so it's not that.
Yeah. I've seen it's so bad it's it's good because it's funny.
Yeah.
Like meme territory, but yeah, that's not what they were going for. So yeah.
Yeah. New Superman. How do you feel about this?
I never watched any of the Supermans.
What?
And like the ones with Henry Cavill, I don't think
What?
I watched the one with Batman, but it was just like I never liked Superman as a character to begin with because he's just like we need the OP lawful good main character person in it, and it was like, yep, this is Superman. This is what he's gonna be. I never liked that character. Always much preferred Batman, who has the much more dark vigilante feel to it rather than the goody two shoes person.
Obviously, I agree 100%. But I will say, Man of Steel, the Henry Cavill Superman, they made it kind of grimdark. They made it a little darker, and so it was quite a bit better. I'm kind of surprised you never saw the first one. Really?
Nope, I never watched it.
Oh,
Well, I guess
interesting.
now that you said that, I might go back and watch it because I didn't know. Because yeah, every time I just see Superman, I was like, oh, it's gonna be another one of those. Oh, here's black and white. Here's all the good people, and here's all the bad people. That's what real life is like. Yeah.
The Man of Steel, the Henry Cavill Superman's a little darker. Even in the movies, the Batman, the awful Ben Affleck Batman movies, he's a little more grimdark.
Mm-hmm.
So, the new Superman, though, I agree, looks kind of more. I mean, they said they're going for a more grim tone, but we already did that with Henry Cavill, and I like Henry Cavill. So why are we changing Superman?
No one knows exactly why Henry Cavill left The Witcher. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be successful as it was when you completely change the main character beyond the first season in or whatever? Almost every show has done that. Has not lasted more than a season or two after that. So
Well, and they've become terrible.
yeah,
That's
so
why they haven't lasted, because they're awful.
I don't know what it is about writers in Hollywood. Here's an established story that has sold millions of copies because the writer was good. Well, we want to change the story and make it our own. And almost every single attempt that's happened with like successful, well-known stories of other writers, it's gone terribly. The new Lord of the Rings, that show was awful. They tried to change multiple characters, multiple storyline things, and you're changing a masterpiece. You're making it worse by definition. It just doesn't make sense to me why you change something that's already so well written.
You have to adapt things sometimes, and not everything adapts one for one. A lot of people complain about, why didn't you take this book or this comic book or whatever, and why is it different? There has to be some adaptation. But at the same point, when you've just needlessly changed the story to something that's completely well known, obviously that's where people start to get.
Yeah, I understand the adaptation thing. Major plot points, something that should not be changed because it's a huge part of the story or a major character that shapes the entire world, something like Galadriel's level,
Did you actually watch the Lord of the Rings thing or no?
No, I just heard and read about it, watched reviews about it.
Why would I bother?
Yeah.
I will eventually watch that for sure. I'm not super tied to the Lord of the Rings characters and lore and whatever, so I can kind of go in with an open mind on that to an extent. So if it's good, I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot. Back to the Superman thing. Yeah, it looks okay. They're trying to probably try and make it more Marvel because Marvel is successful and the DC movies are outside of the good Batmans.
Christian Bale, yeah.
Yeah, not very successful. And Sparkles or whatever, the Twilight guy,
Oh.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
I think that one was pretty good too, right? And I think it did well.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to make it like him younger and appeal to like a different way. It was different, like something that was different, but that was still good.
The other thing about the Superman is how many reboots do we need? Can we just not reboot things anymore? It's just too much at a certain point.
So that's Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's been 3 of them at this point. And I mean, I like them all to an extent, but how about we do this instead? Take the Henry Cavill Superman and have someone write a good story with him in it rather than reboot the entire thing. Let's just make a good movie with him. You had a couple bad movies. Let's rewrite them. Let's get them better rather than reboot. It's just too much. It's too much.
So it goes back to the established character thing. Once you establish someone and you can't get them back, no one's going to watch it because it just looks ridiculous. Where's the actor that we had in the previous movies? So they got to, do you take that chance rather than just reboot?
Yeah, but I don't know if Henry Cavill left of his own accord or if they just like, well, we don't really want you anymore. We'll see. The last one on there that I thought was kind of interesting was the new Tron movie. The Tron movies, especially the second one, were not necessarily good movies. Did you watch the Tron movies?
The newer one, yes.
Yeah. So the original one, it was a special effects spectacle. I think it was the original like 3D glasses type thing or whatever. It's a really neat looking movie. And that's what the second one did. One of the best, in my opinion, 3D movies. It just looks really neat. The Tron world works extremely well in 3D. That's the only reason that I'm interested in it. The movie, probably not that great.
As someone who has to wear glasses, then you have to wear the 3D glasses too. It's super weird and it feels weird on your head and also gives me a headache. So I try to avoid 3D if possible.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of 3D, which in a lot of cases is just a gimmick, whatever. But in some cases, it works well. I am glad that they've stopped trying to make every movie in 3D at this point.
I had a couple of games to go over.
No, all right.
One that I looked into was Avowed. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's in the universe of Pillars of Eternity, but it's built more like Skyrim. It's a little more railroad rather than like open world. Looks interesting. But I mean,
so it's like an isometric.
No, it's like Skyrim. You're first person or third person, and you have weapons and magic.
Oh, but it's just set in the Pillars universe?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a million hours of dialogue and...
No. It plays a lot like Skyrim, where you go in a dialogue option, you have 3 or 4 choices or whatever, you could pick them.
So it's just the universe of Pillars.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, like the way it plays, the way it feels, but it's just a lot smaller in scope compared to Skyrim was. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Sounds interesting.
And then another one I saw was Crimson Desert. I don't know if you saw that one.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what Black Desert Online. It's a big Korean MMO. Pearl Abyss makes it. They make that game. So instead of going the MMO route, they went to single player, so it's set in the same world. I wouldn't say it's Souls-like, but it's kind of getting there where they have a little bit harder bosses, and the combat is going to feel more like BDO. I mean, it looks interesting because it's like the BDO universe, the way it feels. At least I was going to look at it to see if it was interesting.
Yeah. Did you play Black Desert Online?
Yeah, I did. When it first came out, I did.
The grindy Korean MMO thing is not really for me.
Well, when it first came out, there was a certain level that was in the realm of realistic. You could actually achieve it in a couple months rather than take a year. I just kind of did everything that there was to do in the game. I just kind of got bored of it because other than doing crafting stuff, crafting in an MMO was not really what I wanted to do. So I kind of lost interest and I stopped playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've added several things to it since then. Never really got back to it. There's going to be a new Doom.
Yeah. I'm probably like several Dooms behind at this point.
It's one of those ones where it's just nonstop killing of demons or whatever. And sometimes you want a little break in between story, dialogue, doing other things, and just non-stop freaking combat. And then the last game was Fable. Lionhead Studios closed down, but Xbox bought the rights, and they're remaking it. At the very least, from this short minute trailer I saw, it looked interesting. I don't know if it's got the same feel to the old Fables.
The Fable games were decent. I liked the Fable games. It was Peter Molyneux, right? It's like his brainchild or his baby or something like that. I just remember the original Fable commercials. This is going to be the greatest game experience ever. You can do everything.
I incredibly enjoyed the first one, and then the third one was just, this is like, feel like a cash grab rather than using the Fable IP and just dumbing it down as much as they possibly could, where like a 5-year-old could freaking do everything in the game on the hardest difficulty.
I forget, were those originally Xbox exclusives or?
Yes.
Yeah.
The second one was.
Yeah, so aren't there a couple? Isn't one of them like you can still only play on Xbox, or have they finally got them all onto Steam?
No, I think the second one you still can only play. Or no, I think they released an anniversary edition, but no, I think that was either a remake or a remaster or something. I don't know if it actually put it on PC yet. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about the Fable games. I remember they were decent. They were pretty good.
Oh, I guess I did forget about GTA 6. I feel like that's one of those games where no matter how good it is, it will never be what people want or just what they expected it to be compared to the fifth one. The fifth one was the most profitable games ever made. Are you really ever going to do that again? Special timing to what they offered.
I don't know. I might disagree with you on that. I think Rockstar generally has done a pretty good job of getting progressively better and making progressively better games. So I don't know if they're going to make it that much better, but I feel like they'll at least give you a lot of the same, right? I mean, they spend a ton of money on those games.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt it's going to be good, like great.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the amount of hype that people put towards that game. I don't think they'll ever achieve what.
Yeah, you don't think it'll meet expectations?
Yeah.
I don't know. Realistically, it doesn't matter whether it does or not, I guess. I mean, I get it, but it's going to make an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, it is. If anything like the fifth one, yeah, it's going to make a lot of money.
The fifth one, a lot of them is online, right? This is like one of the most popular online games.
Yeah. They need to fix making people who are under level 10 with people who are 900.
They did some level matching.
Yeah, they needed okay, you have an open server level match to make it competitive rather than I can't even do anything because I have the starter weapon and you have a flying tank with rockets.
Cool. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, you got game-wise?
Yeah.
All right. So then Cyberpunk 2077. It's game by CD Projekt Red. We like them. Witcher 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, Witcher 3 is one of the greatest games ever. I feel like Cyberpunk shouldn't have made it on the older generation where I released something that barely worked at the time.
It's a massive stain on CD Projekt Red. They went from The Witcher 3, one of the greatest games of all time. I think you and I both really like that game.
Yes.
Everyone really likes that game for the most part. And then they just crapped on themselves and their name by trying to release a game that requires some pretty significant graphical hardware or AI acceleration in order to be functional.
Yeah. I just think it had to do with investors and okay, you made us wait long enough. We want the game out to make our money back sort of thing. But I don't know. Now, after being out for a while and them fixing everything, it's an incredible game.
Yeah, I agree. Well, somewhat, I guess. It's incredible in the scope and in the graphics and the technical aspect of it. I don't know if I agree about everything else. This is Cyberpunk is what? An action RPG. It's based on the tabletop RPG by Mike Pondsmith.
Yeah.
So interestingly, Mike Pondsmith based his tabletop game. He had a few cyberpunk references or things that he referenced. I forget what the novel is that he referenced. So to me, everything that comes from Cyberpunk almost seems like it was ripped directly out of Neuromancer, and a lot of other people have made that comparison. he says that he didn't read that book until later. I think it's kind of suspect. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
What truly is original nowadays with stories and new concepts? It's like,
Yeah, but you haven't read the book.
no, I haven't.
When you read this book, you're going to be like, this is ripped directly from this book almost. So it's, there's a Night City. I don't know. There's a lot of it that borrows very heavily from it. Now, Neuromancer is kind of the godfather in a way of a lot of cyberpunk genre stuff. So it is possible through osmosis, a lot of that just came to him as this is cyberpunk. This is what this is. Because that's just how seminal Neuromancer is in the cyberpunk genre. This game was released December 2020. They just released another major patch, or somewhat big patch, 2.2, December 2024.
You can't deny they want to deliver on their promise of what the game was supposed to be, I guess.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't like to consume media until it's completely finished. So you released a game 4 years ago and it's not done yet. Like, it's mostly done. It's definitely in a playable state, and they've done most everything. The game was released very early, obviously.
I could see both sides of that. You wanted it to be done of like when I need to play it to consume everything about it. A lot of people it's like, okay, I played it. Well, they released something new. Maybe I'll play it again.
Here's the thing. I want to play a finished product. Don't give me your half-baked 1,000 patches necessary game. I don't want that. I want a finished product.
What exactly does that mean by finished? Because this is the game. Well, now we're going to add more to it because we see how popular it is. Well, if it wasn't so popular, they won't keep adding to it.
Do you think that's what happened in this case? Or do you think they just released kind of a half-finished game and then had to go back and patch it and actually build the game that they promised to build?
Yes, in your case, that is true about the half-finished technical aspect. There
were a lot of gameplay systems they changed too.
The way the perks worked was completely changed. They had planned for DLC Phantom Liberty just because the game was finished, the base game. They had always had plans to at least release one DLC. So what they considered a finished of, okay, do you release the DLC with the game when it comes out? Or we already had plans even before we finished of, yes, we're going to release the base game, then we're going to release the DLC for it. We're going to add things on with the DLC, not necessarily okay, we have to add these things on because that's what we promised.
Well, yeah, I get that to an extent. However, there was a lot of stuff they had to fix before they released the DLC.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. So, again, even taking out the DLC, give me a finished product to play. But yes, I want to play the DLC when the game comes out. Although in this particular case, for the most part, you could have played all of Phantom Liberty fairly separately.
Especially the way they made Cyberpunk with the ending aspect of it. Yeah, you could do the entire base game, and then when Phantom Liberty released, you could just come back and just do the DLC stuff, and it wouldn't feel like you were missing a big chunk of it.
Didn't Phantom Liberty come out, though, 3 years later?
I'm not exactly sure, but at least it was a couple.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. Normally, they start working on DLC as a game's trying to go gold, or at least that's how they used to do it, I think. Is while they're waiting for it, they start working on the DLC. But in this case, they had to fix a lot of things before working on DLCs. It caused them a lot of headache, a lot of heartache for a lot of people. Keanu Reeves is in this. They paid him, I assume,
a ridiculous amount of money.
An obscene amount of money, which I think he probably deserved it.
His entire character, his voice line, it was all A-list level actor type stuff, and I enjoyed it. His entire character, what he brought.
He definitely, he fits the role easily. Even with the long hair, he fits the character. I would question if they hadn't used Keanu Reeves or any other major actor, if it would just been a character, what it would have done to the game. Just an interesting thought experiment.
They have plenty of top-level voice actor people. The people who do all the big level games now that aren't an actor, like Nolan North. He doesn't really act. He's mostly a voice actor, and he does several big titles with the main character's voice. And there's also a couple other people. It added more, definitely, because he's a big name.
Yeah.
A lot of people know him. Would have taken it away. Not necessarily, as long as you hire another top-level voice actor. I think have been not maybe as good, but
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I would ask is, in terms of revenue, and how many games did Keanu Reeves sell? How many copies of Cyberpunk did Keanu Reeves sell?
like you said, they paid him a lot of money. Whereas voice actors, it is like it is at least 2 or 3 zeros levels of difference.
Well,
Keanu Reeves
yeah,
and like a top level voice actor.
for sure. So that all I'm saying is, I definitely enjoyed Keanu Reeves. I don't know if what they paid him or had to pay him or are continuing to pay him in royalties or whatever necessarily worth the investment. But I shouldn't be complaining. It's Keanu Reeves. He's awesome, right?
Yeah, he's great. Like,
Yeah. What would you classify this game as other than action RPG? Because to me, it's kind of like a mishmash of Grand Theft Auto. It's got a little bit of Bethesda game-ish to it, especially like in the world building where you find all these PDAs or whatever you would call them, I guess, with all the notes on them and stuff.
yeah. Just like finding books in a fantasy game.
Bethesda, obviously, I think is the best at that. They have the most rich lore and world building with those. I don't think this game did it very well. A lot of it almost felt tacked on when you did all those police missions. There's just all, like, every single one of them had one of these things that you look at and it's just some random bullcrap they've written down. And some of it seems like it's funny and interesting, and a lot of it.
There's a certain degrees. I mean, they always got to add these side missions with full voice acting, and they got to add slightly less than that where it feels like a mission, but not exactly. And then they always got to add random points of interest to do something.
Yeah. How many of the text things did you read for all those police missions?
Single digit.
Yeah.
I think like 6 or
Exactly.
7 or something.
Okay. I think you've made my point for me then.
I just didn't read that many books in like Skyrim either.
I read a lot of, well, I read more of the notes, especially in like the original Morrowind, like all the there's a lot of storytelling and lore that happens in a lot of those notes and stuff.
Yeah, but the difference being Morrowind, it's you read your journal, it's okay, this general area. Okay, is there more description than that? So you have to read to like figure out where stuff is, because okay, no one wants to run around a big freaking area and chance upon it. At least they want some sort of direction.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking strictly lore based. I think the Bethesda games do this better, and it felt a little tacked on in this game.
There's certain things of what people expect it to be, and if they don't have it, they complain. Destiny, there's no lore in the game. You have to read these things offline of the game just to get the freaking lore. Do you want it in the game, or you want it an afterthought? And
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I get what they were going for. I don't think they necessarily achieved it. What else does this kind of, I mean, there's a little bit of Deus Ex in this, right? But not a whole lot.
I mean, there's a little like with the cyber adding parts on your what they call Chrome or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there was a big part of that in Deus Ex where you had certain parts and you could pick different ones and upgrade your body.
So that is one of the parts that I did not enjoy about this game, is that the upgrade path, or the upgrade when you're adding in cyberware, like the entire mythos and lore of a lot of Cyberpunk, and even the Cyberpunk game itself, is that when you add in all this cyberware, it takes away from your humanity. That's kind of the whole point. In this game, you didn't get that at all. There's literally no consequence for installing cyberware for the most part.
I mean, they had the cyber psycho sightings, or when you do mini bosses or what.
Yeah, but that's part of the lore. But in terms of actually your own character upgrade system, there's none of that. You don't experience any of that. I kind of wanted, like, all right, there's a trade-off here. You've slotted every piece of cyberware you can, then you become Atom Smasher, basically.
Yeah, at least your character still looks a certain level of humanoid person.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's kind of the point, is that you haven't slotted as, you're not a walking tank, basically, but you kind of are, once you slot all that cyberware. So I didn't think that was well integrated. I wanted more penalties, I guess, for it, almost.
In Deus Ex, they added it wasn't exactly the same as Cyber Psychos, but you have to take that anti-rejection drug or whatever, and it just so happens that your character is the only dude in the entire world that doesn't have to take it. The main character or whoever else doesn't suspect it at all. You have to get there in the story.
Yeah.
To figure out why you're special.
I don't know. I wanted more story integration to the gameplay aspect of slotting cyberware, because I felt like it was basically non-existent.
I guess it has to do with how much further can we go upon this of, okay, we're in the future, we should figure out a way to.
Yeah, but I'm talking strictly story-wise, though. Let me ask you this. In the game, how much cyberware did you slot?
To the maximum capacity allows you.
To the exact, like, to the very maximum capacity, because there's no downside. There's nothing to prevent you from doing that or to prevent you from wanting to do that.
But then there has to be some other system that makes you powerful. Like, okay, you're not going to give cyberware. What's the other way to gain power to make you more powerful than someone who does?
Well, yeah, they could have integrated the guns. They could have made, just normal weapons just as powerful. There's any number of things they could have done. I feel like it detracted for me that I could slot literally the maximum amount of cyberware and somehow it does nothing. Like, there's no consequence for that. So back to Keanu Reeves, or rather his character, Johnny. He's like the biggest douchebag on the planet.
Yes, I played through the game and it's just every decision this guy makes is just to screw someone over and not like care. It's like, I don't understand how that guy had any friends. Even like his one friend, Carrie or whatever. How do you remain friends with someone who just screws you over and just leaves you hanging all the time and leaves a mess in your hands? It's just like,
he's like the worst, most narcissistic piece of shit. He's just awful.
yes.
He's almost completely unlikable. And in almost every case, I mean, he has a little bit of character development towards the end, but even then, he's not likable at all.
Yeah. To be yourself and like maybe a group of 10 or 20 people like mercs or whatever, you're going to go against one of the superpowers of the world. You have to be a little crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. He reminds me of like an eco-terrorist, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
he's
exactly.
just this crazy level of, let's detonate a nuclear bomb inside of a building. What happens because of this? Nothing. Like, you lost the company some money, and you killed a bunch of their employees, and then they rebuild everything, and not, you know what I mean? You're just a dickbag.
There are several points in this story where you just slowly come to realize, have you actually done one good thing in your life that helped someone without you getting something in return, like ever?
Yeah, it's like you're just an awful narcissistic, like everything's about you, you know what I mean? I thought that was pretty funny. Part of it plays into this bleakness of the story of like everyone is kind of terrible in a way.
Yeah. And there's very few like good people left without you having to compromise yourself in some way to make it, unless you just want to be someone else's slave pretty much.
And that's kind of the theme of this entire game. Everything is just bleak and awful.
Yeah. I wish in a way they changed kind of the endings, but I'll get there. Keep going.
I mean, like you said, Johnny is just, he gets everybody killed and like just does whatever the hell he wants. There's no thought about the consequences of other people. And
Yeah. Having relations with multiple people and expecting them to like stay with you because who you are. Dude, anyone else you cheat on them repeatedly, they're going to like sack you and just leave you there. Like,
I thought that was pretty funny. Is they made him not a bad guy, but he's a bad guy. The other characters in this game, who's your favorite character, you think, overall?
I honestly don't know because, yeah, like you said, it's so bleak. Everyone has something wrong. The nomads weren't terrible. Instead of having to compromise your way in the corporate structure type of thing, you have to do things out in the wilderness to survive. You pretty much have to kill all their scavengers to take their crap and have it as your own. They weren't terrible, but
In a lot of cases, the best of the worst.
yeah, pretty much.
Honestly, I liked Reed a lot. He's deeply flawed, obviously.
Yeah.
He's got that for my country. He's got the blinders on of what exactly they're up to and what they're trying to get. But I just thought I kind of liked, he's a company man. He's a military man. He's there to get it done.
I feel like the idea of being a patriot, people taking advantage of who you are and just, okay, I won't want you to do this sort of thing. That's pretty sketchy, but there's no one like, because it's so corrupt. It's like, okay, well, who's going to check you to make sure you stay, like, you don't do things illegally? The amount of black ops, I'm assuming, are in the future are probably absolutely ridiculous. It's, okay, I had to go assassinate this person. Why? Who were they? Oh, they were some evil person. Okay, according to whom? You have a file in front of me. This could be fabricated. There's no, I know this person to be true rather than this because I said so. It's like, okay.
I feel like of all the people, though, he at least is the one who is fighting for a cause. A cause that obviously is flawed. Everything is flawed. But overall, he's the one who has at least a moral compass. It may not necessarily point the right direction, but he's got this moral compass of, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to get done.
Yeah, I guess just my point is that is true, but people can easily take advantage of you and manipulate you to do things that that you consider to be evil or against what you believe in, and you wouldn't even know because you so blindly follow the rules.
Like you said, though, there's a element of black ops. Hey, you know, we got to get shit done that we don't really want to tell people about.
As an example of that is the mission where you take the identity of those two twins, and instead of just knocking them out and leaving them high and dry somewhere, the moment you're done, they shoot them in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Bam, they're dead. Okay, did you have to kill them? No. You could have just drugged them up and left them somewhere until the mission was over, and they'd have been okay. You didn't have to just straight up executional style fucking kill them. Like, Jesus.
To be fair, I guess, or at least to your point, pretty much everyone in this game is awful or bad and terrible in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know if it really matters. Well, it matters, obviously, but I don't know that it's, you know, it's just another in the stack. Judy's character.
Dude, 3 dialogue choices into her conversation. It's just like, this is one of those, okay, there's feminists.
Careful.
Who believe in that. And then there's ones who have an idealistic mindset. Okay, this is too much.
Judy reminds me of kind of this stereotypical do-gooder moron.
As an ideal set of the world that she has blinders of, this is what's right and this is what's wrong. We can't do this. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, like her heart's in a good place. She comes from a good place, but she has no bearing on reality.
Yeah. And then her missions of, you want to save the people of a brothel pretty much. Well, when you save them, what are you going to do? Take care of them for the rest of your life? Because, I mean, they got to make a living. Or are you going to leave them on the street? Because I'm assuming they don't want to live on the street with nothing. They have to do some sort of job. And with how corrupt the future is, you have to compromise yourself in some way to make money.
She tries to put it back in their hands or whatever, and you're like, this is not going to work. This is Night City. Someone is going to take advantage of these people, obviously. The vehicles in this game, they tick a box for me, especially this Akira motorcycle. Cyberpunk is kind of my jam. I really like science fiction. I love cyberpunk. Akira, I like that movie a lot. I mean, it's not necessarily one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of the seminal films. It looks incredible. Imagery in this motorcycle, and they put the motorcycle in there, it just rubs me the right way. I like it.
I guess some complete function, that sort of thing. What's the fastest car that has the most durability? Bam, that's my car.
I mean, I get that mentality, but to me, the entire point of this game, not the entire point, but a major point of this game is kind of the aesthetic appeal of it. And so the motorcycle, especially with that second conflict, that red jacket, I'm like, this just looks badass. This is what I want. You've given me what I want.
And I found a jacket that I liked. It wasn't exactly that. It had the red black aesthetic that I liked.
Well, speaking of that, there are a couple things. So first of all, this game doesn't have any third-person view, which I think I got used to it for the most part, but it just bugged me.
You can go in your inventory or whatever.
Yes, but running around in the world, I had no third-person view.
There's the photo mode. You can actually stop what you're doing, like freeze it and take a picture or whatever. You can see everything around. And
yes, but running through the world, I cannot see a character model, my own character model. This is not necessarily an FPS game all the time, strictly. Give me the Bethesda functionality where I can run around in third person and switch to first person. It just bugged me.
They made a choice and they felt it was easier.
It was the wrong choice. It was the wrong choice.
In combat, first person is easier, but dialogue choices and just moving around is easier. The biggest one for me was they at least made driving third person. Because I've had a couple games where they only had first person driving and it was the worst experience I've ever had. It was the worst.
The first person driving in this is kind of neat in a way. It looks really neat, but it's just not functional.
Yeah, it's just tunnel vision. They try to do it like real life, but it feels too zoomed out. It's like you're in the back seat trying to look through the freaking window to see where you're going. It doesn't really feel natural of like what you feel like if you're driving a car. So
it looks neat. It's just completely not functional. The other car that I really liked was the Avenger, obviously. I drove that around for most of the game because it looks cool as hell.
The car that was the fastest or whatever, the Caliburn, it was just, this looks good enough to where it doesn't look hideous. And then any mission that I needed to shoot stuff, someone was going to shoot at me, I just used the Javelin or the Wingate. And those are different, the aesthetic of the sports car.
Yeah.
But it had more muscle car aesthetic of it, and they all looked good.
Well, and those cars, the Nomad cars, drive through, the dirt better.
Yeah. When you did do first person, the inside was getting to like airplane level of amount of buttons or whatever. I was like, what is all this for exactly?
It's pretty overwhelming. You get in, you're like, whoa. I spent a considerable amount of time in this game driving around. This game looks incredible. It looks really great, especially at night, which kind of pisses me off because they start all the missions during the daytime. And I'm like, what are we doing? It's Night City. Give me nighttime visuals. Stop starting the mission in the daytime.
Had a couple of missions where you didn't start in the daytime.
The majority of them started in the daytime. And I'm like, this is not acceptable.
You can start the mission and then you can skip time to go to the nighttime.
Well, yeah, but it's like, why do I need to do this? That's what I felt like I needed to do for everything. Let me stop what I'm doing and take a nap.
Or just wait. Yeah.
I've parked my car to wait until nighttime so that all the illegal antics that I'm up to, I'm not just doing in broad daylight.
It's a certain level of all video games. It's any realistic in urban times like Grand Theft Auto. You seriously think you could kill triple digit amount of people and get away with it? Dude, you'd be the biggest terrorist in the world. Every single person would be looking for you.
I liked driving this game. I liked the cars and I liked the city. I liked viewing it. You, on the other hand, I think.
Efficiency.
Yeah, you're mostly just fast travel right through.
Yeah. I went on my way when I first got the whole city unlocked. I went to every fast travel point, so I don't have to worry about it ever again. I mean, it took me like 8 hours to drive around the entire city and get every single fast travel, but it was like, nope, now I don't have to ever worry about this ever again. So
I picked them all up, but the only time I really used the fast travel was doing all the stuff in Dogtown because it's super annoying trying to go through that checkpoint every time.
I have no idea why they did that crap in. It's like, okay, maybe the first time you go through it, but then why don't they just leave the gates down after that?
I think it's a loading thing. Like it's a loading screen, but they don't want to give you the loading screen. So they give you here's the interactive loading screen.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I've seen this enough time. How many times do I need to do this at this point?
Yeah. I hated it because I spend a considerable amount of time Dogtown walking around rather than just fast traveling or driving everywhere. So there's the most amount of opportunities for the vehicle retrieval mission. And you always had to get those. And it's like, now you got to drive through this gate for like the 15th time.
It did get old for sure. I overall enjoyed the look of this game, just everything about it, especially at nighttime. I spent so much, I probably took like 200 screenshots. And I used a trainer, I used cheats almost primarily just so I could have unlimited double jump, so I could double jump to a place to take a picture.
The photo mode, you can go in and you don't have to be at your character. You can move it around.
I don't think you can fly it up to different perspectives way, way up in the air, can you?
I don't know. I never tried because I only took like one photo that was for one mission. There was one mission, I think, with Japanese pop stars that you got to take a picture.
Oh, yeah. It forces you to. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only picture I ever took.
And so much of the scenery in this game just looks great. Like I played it, I have a 4090 and I played it with maxed out settings and with all the AI stuff turned on, or at least most of it, I think, just to run it at a playable frame rate because it's an unplayable frame rate if you try and turn everything on, even with the 4090 without turning on the AI stuff. You're at like 50 FPS or something. It's abysmal.
I had a 4070 and I played it not max, the one right below that. There were a couple of times with certain abilities and stuff that my FPS went to 15. And then it was happened like a couple of times, and then we went down slightly longer in the second, and then it went back to normal.
With the 4090, I was getting a pretty solid 90 to 100, if not more, for most of the thing. I will say all this AI stuff on the video cards, it's pretty incredible. There are some wonkiness. There's a little bit of wonkiness to it in some cases, but for the most part, it's actually pretty good. If you're super into fidelity, at least in video games, then it might bug you a bit more. But for video games, I don't care as much.
I would have liked to. I don't want to spend $3,000.
Yeah, I didn't spend quite that much.
At this point, I have to buy a whole new computer.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. The city looks great. I almost would have rather had it as I want a VR tour. I want a complete VR tour of Night City. Give me an entire game of that. It doesn't even have to be a game. Just give me an interactive experience on rails. Fly me around a complete tour of Night City at night and show me everything. So much of the scenery looks really good with all the lighting turned on.
It's not my thing.
Yeah, you don't care as much, but I was extremely impressed by it. I was more impressed by the visuals, I think, than the game overall. Gameplay wise, there's a few different paths, RPG. There's a few different paths you can take. You went on and found the best overall builds of all, whether you're using Berserk or Sandpiston or...
I looked for a build and I was like the first one that popped up and it just happened to be ridiculously good. So I'll just use this.
That's a thing that kind of bugs me in RPGs. So I'm annoyed that there's one build, there's several builds, but this is the specific weapon. This is the specific setup. This is specifically what you have to do in order to make this work. And so it takes away from the gameplay because I don't want to be shoehorned into this specific build. Why are you going to include guns if you're never going to use them because they're not as good as something else?
The first time I played through the game, I used a stealth build with a submachine gun, and I just headshotted every single guy. My build is predominantly about using guns. There's certain things that just work more effectively. I could have just taken things that I thought were a little easier, just more to my style, and be slightly less effective.
That's fair, I guess. You can play most of the game not optimized, not completely optimized. You get into that, why would I play the game not optimized? Why I want to have the optimal build, but then if I'm playing with the optimal build, then I might miss out on some of these interesting things that they've put in here. So that's a problem, I guess, with a lot of RPGs, not just this one in particular, but it did kind of bug me a little bit.
There's a certain level, even MMOs, you don't have to always be, well, these are like the 5 meta classes. If anyone who doesn't play them, they don't even deserve to be in our group. Skill of an individual is a lot more. Someone with a mediocre thing with a great skill compared to someone who's terrible with the best build is still going to be, they're still going to be better because their skill is going to override the meta choice.
Were there any particular quests that stood out to you?
Several. The vending machine one I thought was hilarious.
I'll take that a step further. I think the vending machine quest is literally the best thing about this game. The vending machine is so charming as a character. By the way, I think it's spontaneous craving satisfaction machine, I think is what those stand for. Just so charming. And the subtext of that, is this thing an actual intelligence? Is it not? At the end, spoiler, supposedly it's not. You know, they're shutting him down because his programming is broken. But I think, to me, the point of that is well, no, he's exceeded that. He has become an intelligence. And at what point do you differentiate between intelligence and human level intelligence? Maybe he's not on a human level per se, but I liked that quest better than anything else in this game.
I won't go that far. It was a great quest. So it was just slightly like, okay, how much do you want your vending machine to know about your intimate personal details, everything about you? Thanks, vending machine, for knowing exactly my favorite items that I would want from you. He talks to V and he's saying stuff like, oh, he knows you're going to die. How would you possibly know that without being part of the surveillance system to eavesdrop on people?
Well, I guess that's the other side of this coin, is that it makes you wonder, in the real world, IRL, we're developing all this artificial intelligence and all this, and are we just going to use this to make us better consumers? We're literally going to create artificial intelligence just so it can sell us stuff. That's kind of also the other subtext of this in a way.
Slightly off topic, I saw this commercial recently where they're using AI. What's the latest fashion trend of picking the right things so you're not out of fashion? We're just going to have AI to tell us what to wear now to look cool? Like, what?
Well, exactly. Like, that's literally playing into consumerism. That's what I'm saying. Like, We're creating the greatest technology. It will probably kill us eventually, but we're creating the greatest technology. And what are we using it for? Well, we got to buy clothes, man. What snack do I want? Google.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tell me how to live my life.
That's what's going to get to.
I think I read an article about a guy who was using the Chat GPT model to try and tell him how to plan his day and to live, work his thing or whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but he's like, hey, I kind of want to play with my dog. And it's like, all right, well, you can go play with your dog. And he's like, I tell it again, well, I think I need another break. I want to go play with my dog. And it's like, all right, well, you can go play with your dog. And then he does it a third time. And it's like, well, maybe, you need to get to work. The article was pretty great. I forget what it is. I wish I could remember now, but it made me laugh because he's trying to have AI literally run his schedule and run his life. And it's like, man, at what point has speculative fiction just caught up with us?
Not AI, but at least several prominent people who pretty much have every single hour of their day is timed to the freaking minute of what they're going to do.
It's definitely I don't know how people do it, but AI will do it for you. Coming very shortly. Any other quests that stood out?
The one with the mayor-elect, I thought was interesting, where they literally brainwashed the guy.
They have an entire room inside of his house.
Yeah. There's several things during your sleep, start to change your brainwave and personality. It's Jesus.
Well, and it starts to involve this game's version of the G-Man from Half-Life, Mr. Blue Eyes or whatever.
Yeah. There's a point in the story where it's figure out exactly what's going on. Do you tell the guy or you just give him a lie? And I saw both options. Because the first one I told him, and the second one I didn't. I was just like, dude, it's almost a mercy. Not tell him. How do you tell someone? Yeah, someone is literally brainwashing you to change who you are.
Who are you telling at that point? And the worst thing, what exactly can you do about it? How much of you has changed?
Yeah, there's like an ending part where at the end of the story, he will call you and tell you what's going on. Well, if you tell him, dude, he's about to have a mental breakdown because he's so stressed out of, am I who I'm supposed to be? How do I find these shadow people who are, doing all this stuff to me? Dude, it's almost a mercy just to tell him, okay, I didn't find anything.
Well, that's what his wife suggests, right? She's
Yeah.
like, just don't tell him that we're better off at this point. Yeah, that was an interesting one.
And then the one with one of the love interests, the cop one, where you literally track down a serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that one was interesting as hell. I'm like, okay. I just thought it was basic level kidnapping sort of thing. Nope. Turns out he is an entire stable of victims.
Yeah, that one was some creepy bullshit he had going on.
The more interesting aspect is when you can literally take a recently dead person or person who's brought one step away from being, legally brain dead and go in their memories to figure out where they were or the crime. Dude, what's the point of crime anymore? If it's you can just look at people's memories and figure out exactly who did it.
We're getting into Minority Report territory there.
I just thought that was interesting. This has to violate some rules of...
There's some kind of international treaty that should prevent this.
Yeah, Jesus, man. You ever have any privacy when your most intimate thoughts can just, look like a freaking recorder?
I liked the Hippocratic Oath one where you help the doctor lady who's been kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's fairly early on, but it made me laugh. I just ran through this building and I murdered all these gang members. I savagely murdered all of them to get to her. And then I get to her and she's trying to save one guy and I'm, let's go, bitch. Come on. I don't have time to help you save this guy.
I did the part where I helped the guy and it's okay, now we're just going to leave him here. We're not taking him with us or whatever.
It's funny because it's he doesn't matter. I killed all of his friends. And on top of it, I instinctually shot him in the face. She starts complaining and I'm like, bitch, I don't have time. And I just blasted the dude in the face. And to my surprise, he died. And I'm like, oh, well, sweet. This speeds things up a little bit.
There's a couple of times where you go into a place, there's two guys, in those chairs. You do the dives in the cyberspace. Well, they're not hurting anything. And you don't have to do that because they're not shooting at you. But do you kill them or just leave them there? And then another one I thought was crazy level was one of the main story quests where you help to find Alt Cunningham. You have to deal with the Voodoo Boys. Yep, we're going to try and breach the Black Wall or make a hole in it. I think every single group in the entire thing is like, one rule you don't cross is trying to bring down the Black Wall. Because if you do, yeah, advanced AIs that have the most insane level of intelligence you've ever seen.
They literally say in multiple instances, they're going to kill us all. If these things get out, if we release them, they're going to kill us all.
The Voodoo Boys tempt fate repeatedly. How far can we put little holes in the Black Wall to get information or whatever they want?
Well, more so than them, though, is all these in USA, all these military groups are trying to militarize this. And this is the worst idea ever. Inevitably, they have to try. You don't understand how close you're getting to literally ending humanity at this point.
Yeah. Every time I was, nope, I'm just going to help that group that protects the Black Wall. I forget their name.
Netwatch or whatever.
Netwatch. I help them every time. These people are psychotic level.
One of the other ones, I think, was the one really close to the beginning with those monks. You remember that one where they steal the guy? I forget what exactly happens, but I'll be honest, I kind of took, well, this is what your religion gets you, dipshit.
Oh, I just did the most optimal choice. Help the guy get back to him or whatever and not betray their oath of not using cyberware.
Yeah, I'm like, well, this is what your religion gets you when you go down this path of, I'm going to follow the strictest religion and the strictest things. Like, well, guess what, dude? You made your own bed. I liked the Lena Melina stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You fry that guy's brain, and so now he's a woman. Instead of it being weird, he becomes a sidekick as part of the show. It's pretty funny. And you're going through her apartment, and you find her bath water. You don't ask why it's so expensive, and we won't ask what you're doing with it. And then there's a whole conversation she has with her manager. She's complaining about, I have all this bath water.
The mission where you help Carrie blow up that van with the musical equipment.
Oh, yeah. So he comes rolling up in the most piece of shit car ever. And you're like, first of all, really? Did you need to get this thing? And he's like, undercover. But my whole thought process behind that is, listen, dude, you just stole someone's only mode of transportation. Obviously, they're barely making ends meet. You probably took their only form of transportation. So now they can't get their kid to school. They can't get themselves to work. You ruined someone's life, asshole, to deal with your rock star bullshit.
Dude, you literally have a Guinevere in your driveway. Like the most expensive car you can possibly get. And you steal someone's barely minimum wage person's cars. You could just, use one of your cars and literally blow it up, and it would be like a blink in the amount of money.
Yeah, like you could have done anything else, but you picked the person's car who literally probably needs it the most, barely rolling on 4 wheels. This dude, he's trying to feed his family day to day. Good job, asshole.
You have to take a step back and think of, this guy is friends with Johnny Silverhand. Clearly, there's something wrong with that. To be friends with that guy.
I did actually really like all the Zen Master stuff too.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
I want a VR version of that too. Those were actually genuinely kind of relaxing in a way.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I was like, wow, I'm actually really relaxed from this. Like,
give me a VR version of this. Do some meditation or something.
But yeah, we're gonna move on to the story.
Yeah, I'll let you.
The base ending, there's 4 of them or whatever. There's multiple choices, and the devil one, I really wish they could have actually fixed you totally, and you live with the choice of betraying everything what you're supposed to be. I thought it was like, whoa, cool, you get to live, and they fix you completely, but it's like now you're pretty much their slave until you die.
In a way, that's almost one of the more hopeful endings, because there's a minute chance that they might bring you back, and then you could live obviously as their puppet or as their whipping boy or errand boy to do whatever it is they want you to do. But you could at least possibly live somewhat of a normal life after that happens.
The one part where you have to do all those tests, and eventually Takamura comes in, and you're like, I want to talk to the lady you help. And he's like, she doesn't even remember who you are. That's how insignificant you are.
I like all the other endings where you kind of portray them. And he's like super pissed off and he's talking about ritual suicide and
Yeah.
you know, it's like, whatever, dude. You work for some of the most
evil.
horrible, some of the most evil people on the planet. Like,
There's the one that you like where you pretty much go beyond the black wall. The thing that I don't like about the option is you pretty much assimilate with the alt's AI consciousness. Maybe if you became one of the AI yourself, it wouldn't be as bad. You pretty much assimilate with.
well, you can. So first of all, you can get to that ending through several of the other endings in a way. So the best ending of that is the sort of secret one where you storm the castle.
Yeah, don't fear the Reaper. Yeah.
Yeah, so you storm it with Johnny alone, so you don't get anyone else murdered, because that's a thing in Night City, and especially with Johnny Silverhand involved. So you storm by yourself, so you don't get anyone else dead. And then, to me, I like that because every other ending, other than the newer one from Phantom Liberty, is basically you still die in some way or another.
How far are you willing to go just to survive rather than having a meaningful life? I guess it's like the philosophy question of.
Yeah, for sure. It gets into the weeds a little bit. I think I'd go down that road more than any of the other ones. Like, well, I got 6 months to live, or I can literally become something new. And I think I would choose that.
Then there's one where you become the king of the afterlife, because even in the Don't Fear the Reaper, Rogue still retires. And then you pretty much go out like a blaze of glory of like the ultimate mission. And then there's the Nomad one where you go on the open road until you die.
The game goes out of its way to make every ending bleak. It legitimately tries hard, because I feel like some of them could have been slightly, like the one where you actually survive, where they remove the engram. They still make that ending a shitty ending. They could have easily made that a more happy ending if they wanted to. This universe is definitely, we want the bleakest.
Yeah, there's so many other ways they can end it. Phantom Liberty ending. Yep, they help you. It takes a couple weeks and they fix you, and then you get back to your life normally. Nope, it's 2 years go by. You can never use cyberware ever again. You pretty much have to live your life completely without cybernetics. Even the basic one, I'm assuming everyone gets, you can't even have it. It really sucks.
In a way, though, I like it, because most games go out of their way to have some kind of happy ending or some ending that you like. So I kind of appreciate that they're like, nope, we're sticking to our guns. Doesn't matter what you choose. They all kind of suck.
There's the Phantom Liberty endings that are separate from the game endings. And I did both, or the two main ones. One where you help Songbird and the one where you help Reed. Songbird makes all these promises to you, and then you realize in the end she pretty much is lying, because you're going to use the thing that was going to help you once, and she's going to use it and not you. The Wands ending. And I was like, at a certain point, it's, well, you're not anywhere different than where you are. I mean, this lady lied, and she pretty much manipulated to use you to help her. Are you anywhere different than you were before?
Songbird, at least, is, you can kind of sympathize with her situation a little bit, because you play her path. You see where Reed basically strong arms her in a way, you know what I mean, to come join him, because he's like, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to get your friends hurt. Shit's going to go bad. So you're going to join us one way or another. And then after that, they take advantage of her. I do like the imagery with her, the Ghost in the Shell imagery of Major Kusanagi with all the plugs and the half machine and stuff.
Yeah, but I felt weird. She introduced herself originally, but she doesn't like anything like she does what she's supposed to in real life. Like, okay, why don't you just show me what you really look like? Are you going Ivory Way to look more human, to appear more sympathetic?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly the point. Her character is one of the few that I feel like is not just completely evil and or corrupted in some way or another.
You have the one where you help Reed, where you have the option between turning her back over to be a permanent slave or to kill her.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty awful ending, more or less, where you turn her back over. And even Reed feels like a complete asshole afterwards. You can tell, like, he just broke it up about it.
And the only reason I did it was to get the fifth ending, just to see what it was. I was like, dude, this is terrible.
It is legitimately pretty awful, yeah.
And then I also did it to get the best cyberware, the Kanto Mark 6.
Anything else? I like the billboards in this game. They like play upon your inner childish 15-year-old. I mean, they definitely have that immature humor about them.
I did enjoy the cyber aspect of it. Instead of magic, you have hacking. It felt so much more powerful in the game than the guns did.
Yeah, especially once you leveled it all up and optimize everything, you just roast people.
When I fully optimized, you can't use the Blackwell one against Atom Smasher, but you can use Silence Burnout. It was just so trivially easy. I almost had to like, okay, I'm not going to use this. This is to make it more difficult. 'Cause I could practically fall asleep and still kill this guy.
Atom Smasher makes a good stereotypical bad guy. He's just basically a complete evil psychopath. And he's extremely intimidating, especially when you're doing that first brain dance and you walk through and he's like, you look like a fuckable piece of meat.
Yeah, that was just like, oh,
You're like, whoa, this dude. All right. Anything else you want to touch upon?
no,
You want to do Edge Runners next week?
I didn't finish it.
What?
Well,
Well, you want to finish it then?
No, the first time I didn't finish it because what happened was
See, what happened was
I forgot about it, and then I finally watched it like 6 months ago. So yeah, I do know, like I have watched it. I would probably watch it again.
yeah. That's pretty short, right? Get that in pretty quick. Let's do that next week.
Okay.
We'll extend the Cyberpunk. You liked this game quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Overall.
I played it twice all the way through just to do everything.
You wanna give it a score out of
10?
What do you think? Out of 10? Out of 100? Out of 10?
I would say out of 10.
Let's say out of 10, and we'll allow half points.
Okay. Thinking like 8, 8.5. Between how much I enjoy it. Between gameplay, story was interesting. Didn't have the endings that I wanted, but I mean, that's not always the case for every story. The technical difficulties definitely at least take a point away, is because they could have waited and fixed it at least to a playable state before they released it. So that's definitely a detractor.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily rate that against the score, though, because I waited 4 years to play the game.
If you rated every game like the finished product of every single update, it's
Well, the game as you played it. How about that?
then yeah, I'd go from like a 9 then.
So you would say the game as you played it, 9 out of 10. So you liked this game quite a bit.
Yes, I did.
Gotcha. I would say probably 8 out of 10. Maybe be generous and say 8.5 out of 10. It was still a pretty good game. All the voice acting in this game is really good. We didn't talk about that, but most of the voice acting is really good. I like V a lot. Obviously, Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10. You're going to say 9 out of 10?
Yeah, the finished product, yes, be a 9.
All right. 9 out of 10. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10. CD Projekt Red, they still know how to make a good game. Yeah, let's do Edge Runners next week. All right, wrap it up. If you're the one person who finds this, please don't roast us too badly about our crappy production values and how much you hate us. That would be nice. Or do, whatever. Trolls are fun too.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see you next time, hopefully, for an episode 2, assuming I hit record on this one. We'll find out.
Yeah, I'm not doing this again if you guys.
All right, later. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep. So in the past, the way that these things worked is in order to sync up audio and video on a separate audio track, they do a clap. Not the sexual disease, but the simply
Yes.
because
I pretty much figured that. Okay.
yeah. You're super interested in that explanation.
Not really. No.